The town of Raven Bay clung to a curve of land, where the forest met the cold Atlantic. It was a place defined by its relationship with the sea, a relationship of both sustenance and fear. The harbor held two old piers. A red lighthouse stood sentinel on a rocky point, a white lighthouse detail, a lone guard against the fog and the waves. It was a stoic, unchanging feature of the landscape, a point of reference for fishermen and a source of quiet pride for the town. The light it cast was a promise, a steady beam cutting through the darkest nights, a silent conversation between land and sea. Thomas Hale was the keeper of that heart. At 50 years old, he had spent 2 decades tending to the Raven Bay light. His life was one of meticulous routine and quiet dedication. He rose before the first hint of dawn, his movements precise and unhurried as he polished the great Fresnel lens until it gleamed. He checked the complex clockwork gears that turned the lamp, his ear attuned to the faintest off-key click or groan. Each day, he made an entry in a small, leather-bound logbook, his handwriting neat and compact. Thomas was a man of few words. He preferred order and solitude over the easy chatter of the town's single pub. People trusted him implicitly, the way they trusted the tide charts and the rising of the sun. His world was the lighthouse tower, a vertical home of iron and stone. The spiral staircase was his daily path, the small circular rooms his domain. He had a small cot, a single chair, and a shelf for his few books. He liked the solitude, the wind wrapping the tower, the feeling of being perched between earth and ocean. Dawn over Raven Bay feels wrong. The wind holds its breath. The surf ticks like a clock under cloth. October 29-23 arrives thin and cold. Ben Carter noses his skiff from the harbor, routine mapped in muscle, when the first absence finds him. The Raven Bay light does not cut the gray. No sweep on the clouds, no promise on the water. Night still clings where day should rise. Fog hangs low around the hull, breath clouds the glass. Carter scans the lifeless tower, unease tightening his grip. Something old inside him tilts, gut recognizing trouble before the mind agrees. He angles toward the point, engine a low thrum swallowed by fog, eyes on the tower's blank glass. At the base, the heavy oak door Thomas Hale always bolted stands a finger wide, ajar, breathing. It shifts on its hinges with the sea breeze, a hush of wood and salt, a handle smudged by use, the black seam of a lock unturned. Beyond, a narrow view of water like a held secret. The hinge whispers, cold air spills across his skin. He steadies his hand on iron, listening for movement. Only the sea answers, patient and indifferent. The door breathes once, then stills like it's watching. Carter ties off, boots on slick stone, climbs the serpentine path, hand to rail, breath thin, each step a metronome for dread. Boots scrape stone as he climbs the wet steps. Yellow slickers brush the rail. The wind needles. Knuckles blanch on the railing. Heartbeat counting. Each turn reveals more silence, more stalled light. Inside, his whisper dies in the round chamber. Only the room answers. Stone swallowing sound, light stalled. On the desk, an opened logbook. Beside it, a mug, ringed and dry. Everything in its place, yet every detail leaning slightly wrong. The cold he feels isn't weather. He does not cross the threshold. He eases the door toward closed, but leaves the latch free, as if not to wake something. Then motion. Boots back, the run to the skiff, dial knifing across the harbor while possibilities crowd the mind. On the radio, his voice finally hardens. The light's out. The door was open. Tom's gone. The channel goes thin with static. Static chews the channel, his words thin to wire. Officers sweep the tower with careful eyes. Bed made, jacket on its peg. Boots paired and waiting. Routine intact, keeper absent. The lighthouse feels like a witness now, not a refuge. Its silence pulling seaward. Flashlights rake the walls. Dust drifts like ash. The investigation moved from the quiet interior of the lighthouse to the rugged landscape that surrounded it. The terrain was treacherous, slick with sea moss and battered by the tide. They searched every crevice and fissure while the sea watched, indifferent and vast. At the high water mark, he found fresh prints in damp sand. Size 10 work boots, a match for Thomas. They led directly toward the sea in a straight, purposeful path, and then stopped. No sign of struggle, no scuff marks. As if lifted into the air. Nearby, a frayed square of blue and gray checked flannel, a favorite shirt of Thomas, torn and pointing to the sea. A canine unit arrived. The dog scented Thomas's jacket and pulled hard down the path. It traced the same line, then whined and circled where the footprints vanished, finally barking out at the open gray. The incoming tide scrubbed scent and signed clean. The sea had taken the trail, and any easy answers? Yeah. 2 clues, yards apart, suggested Thomas reached the edge, but offered no reason why or what came next. Section 4. Secrets in the logbook. It was a record of his life. Years of weather, ship sightings, and maintenance unwaveringly kept. The last complete entry read, "No ship, fog lifts, new rope for lower rail." On the line for the 27th, only a short, jagged scratch. Unlike anything else in the book, same ink, heavy pressure. No letter or number, just stress etched on a pristine page. The empty pages for the 27th and 28th were as loud as any scream. A crack in the facade. A tiny, dark line hinting at a larger, unseen fracture. The logbook, a symbol of order, became chapter 1 of a deepening mystery. As the official search stalled, another inquiry began in cafes and on docks. Mrs. Carter recalled Thomas unusually anxious, buying bread twice in 3 days, leaving quickly eyes to the door. Sam, the ferryman, remembered a faint flickering light far down the coast, and Thomas on the gallery, binoculars not to sea but to the cliffs. Then a recording. A brief, untraceable transmission on a restricted channel. A metallic voice. "We know you keep secrets." It cut off, its origin masked. With the trail on land growing cold, the search turned to the seabed around the lighthouse. A commercial diver slipped over the side into murky green. The world above watched his bubbles mark the deep. Below, a graveyard of lost things, decades of maritime detritus. He worked a grid, patient and methodical. A glint. An old anchor with a town-founding family name, not Hale. An echo from another time, strange but likely unrelated. Then, a modern waterproof box, clean, unbarnacled, locked tight. This was it, he thought, the clue they needed. Back on shore, they forced it open. It was empty. Utterly, completely empty. A box that should have meant answers. Now only another riddle. Section 7. The unanswered question. Months bled into a year. The seasons turned. The investigation slipped quietly to cold case. A new keeper tried to restore normalcy, but Thomas lingered. The jacket held his tobacco, the mug, a ring no one washed away. The lighthouse worked again, haunted by absence. A key turned up months later, fitting no lock in Raven Bay. The toy boat held a single word: leave. Neither ever identified. The voice on the radio, the scratch in the log, the nervous trips for bread, the flicker on the cliffs, pieces of different puzzles, slipped on rocks, silenced by smugglers, walked away with something ancient, theories without proof. The mystery became a mirror. Tonight the light still sweeps. Walk the path and feel the weight. The case still haunts. The town holds a question mark in the fog. The lighthouse keeps its secrets. The sea keeps its silence.